I'm sharing my man with rugby, but I'm not complaining. And also rugby is a nice thing to share your man with. Like, we go hang out in the sun on Saturday and he does all the hard stuff. So I just get to come outside, have some drinks. I even sometimes bring my dog, like if the game is at sports club. So I get to do the fun stuff. I'm not complaining.
Hello rugby fans, welcome to the Rugby Wire, the home of Zimbabwe rugby conversation. I'm Brian Matamba. Today we're joined by David Makamba, the Sables lock. His journey is quite interesting. He comes from a non-traditional playing rugby school, and we're gonna dive deep. Let's get to work. David Makamba, thanks for hosting us at your home.
Oh, you guys are most welcome, eh? Thank you very much.
So David, can you give us a big background? You went to St. John's Chikwaka. How was life there?
St. John's Chikwaka was nice. It was almost a purely academic school. I met the love of my life there, rugby, and it was quite good. It was quite good.
You mentioned you met the love of your life, rugby. How was the coaching there at St. John's Chikwaka?
At the time, it was a new sport. It was a brand new sport. I remember, I think there was a ministry initiative that every pupil must have a sport or something like that. So some older students formed rugby. So we almost sort of self-coached. The boys knew more rugby, but we had a TIC would just look after us. But the boys would sort of coach themselves. And it was beautiful.
So why did you pick rugby rather than volleyball or soccer at St. John's Chikwaka?
So honestly, growing up, I was mostly an academic. I was a bit of a bookworm. So at the time, I really just wanted to pick a sport. I had a few friends. I remember Bakasa and Senzere, and they said, no, we should play rugby together. So I joined. At the time, I also thought it wouldn't be as tough as other sports. So I joined it because I knew it was sort of peer coached.
And what's your first memory, like the school you played against?
The very first one? That's a good question. The very first school we played against was Trust Academy. I was in Form 3. We had one team, sort of the first team, but it was mixed forms at the time. I think we played against Trust Academy. We did get beaten, but it was a very good experience. Yeah, it was a very good experience.
And was this at the Kotko Schools Festival back then?
So it's funny enough, they came to St. John's Chikwaka actually, and we played them there. Then I remember some games also where we played Lord Malvern at the Kotko Schools Festival. We played Prince Edward Seconds or something. They also tapped us, but we were happy to play them. But the best memory I have from playing rugby at St. John's Chikwaka was playing on Jubilee Field at Kotko. So at some point we were promoted, I think 2011, and we started playing on Jubilee, and that was the dream. We were happy with that.
And what early challenges did you face in your rugby career when you were still at St. John's?
I'd say support. I didn't have too much support, to play the sport. In fact, it was just a sport I picked up at school, so I wasn't really expecting people to come from home and watch me play or anything like that. So with what I know now, I would sort of reference it as a challenge. With what I know now as well, it was also tough. The fields were quite tough because you get injured from grass bed, you know what I mean, and things like that. But honestly, it was beautiful. It was a good experience. Yeah.
And what are the challenges you think you faced as St. John's Chikwaka as a non-traditional playing rugby school, but playing against, you mentioned, you played the P seconds?
Yeah. The biggest one was laws. I remember, we used to struggle to get, phases going because we would infringe here and there. So laws were our biggest challenge. I want to say resources, but maybe not really. Everyone would still just buy their own boots. It might not be rugby boots, but we'd have boots. And then we used to also just sort of organize our own camps, or make our own food during camp. So that it was quite challenging, but it was a good experience. Like I say now, when I look back, it was quite good.
And you mentioned playing on Jubes. Any other memorial games you played when you were still in high school?
maybe a good memory I can bring up is there's a guy I then played with at Harare Sports Club, Hilton Commander Jax. I remember vividly we met in high school and he was playing on an opposition team. I think it was a team from Mufakasi, and we went to play them in Mufakasi. It was tough. It was tough, but it was a great memory. I mean, linking up with him afterwards, just how everyone else links up with boys they knew from school. I really singled him out because I felt like, oh, I can actually connect with someone I actually played with from school.
In post high school, were you skeptical about picking up the game?
Initially, I actually thought I would stop playing right after school. But when we went for the Kotoko Schools Festival in 2010 and 2011, I met Mr. Sykes Sibanda, Ntsikelelo Sibanda, and he basically gave me my one-way ticket to play rugby after school and said, look, you should come to Harare Sports Club right after school and let's see what this sport has in store for you. So initially I didn't believe. I just thought maybe he thinks because I'm a big guy I'll be good for it, but I then went and then I spent some time there in second team, first team then. Yeah.
Some of the players you remember you first played with as a young boy joining Harare Sports Club?
Yeah, that was real. So I remember playing with certain boys in second team, Alan Gutiwa, TJ Shamu. We played together for the Red Lions. At the time, Denford, Shingi Mpofu, Ramai Kudenga, these were the people playing first team and very, very good stewards of the game, and just helped to mentor everyone coming in. They really helped mentor me as a youngster. They used to call me some pretty tough names, but, you know. But honestly, I think that's where most of my grooming then came from, to also just aspire to try and play for the higher levels, you know what I mean?
And talking about Harare Sports Club, you mentioned some of them mentored. Which are your fondest early good memories from Harare Sports Club when you just joined them?
When I just joined them, Harare Sports Club was amazing. When I joined, I wasn't as serious as I would say I am now as well. I really enjoyed partying with the boys after games on Saturdays at the Red Lion Bar. Those were very good memories for me. Then going to the Zim Under 20 setup. So I went to the Zim Under 19 setup coming from Harare Sports Club because my age was still right. I was sort of one year early in school. So I think the biggest achievement that I got out of it was to get into the Zim Under 20 setup. And then I ended up playing for the Under 19A team at the car Under 19 tournament in 2012. So that was the biggest thing to come out of it.
And do you remember who was the coach at that time for the Zim Under 20?
Oh yeah. It was Bright Chiwanjire. I think that was the first time I was in contact with him. He made me run a lot. I remember take a 400. every 30 seconds, take a 400. But also because I didn't know a lot, some systems I wasn't sure, some comms I wouldn't hear what's going on. So you just make sure I'm up to scratch.
So what did you learn being part of the Under 19 at a young age? Playing for the national team, although you played in the B team?
So, I think that was the biggest sort of wake-up call. Getting exposed to conditioning for the game at that level, getting exposed to skills and that just more awareness of what rugby actually is. I also met some long-term friends at the time because I felt, I didn't have too many connections from school in that setup. So I met Kudzai Shawi in that setup, and since we've been good friends. And he really helped me through, just because he knew systems, he knew who plays where, who does what. So he just helped me to just be a part of that group. And I appreciate the comrades I met at the time there.
So Dave, which are some of the lessons you learned at St. John's, Chikwaka, which have helped you in your rugby journey?
The mission school life was quite good in terms of grooming us as boys to become men. The main thing being discipline. You have to do things at a certain time. in a certain way, whether you like it or not. But over time, it becomes second nature. So it's very easily transferable to rugby. It's the same thing, with the coaches and the S&C coach and the nutrition and the recovery. You have to carry that discipline through. Just also respect for others, for teammates. I've definitely learned that from the mission school setup. And just to pursue excellence in a way where no one is taking excuses. No one is taking explanations for things that are not done. So just bringing that into my life and into rugby, it helped me a great deal. It's very transferable. I can say those are the main things: discipline, working hard, and integrity. Yeah.
And those lessons you mentioned, you learned those lessons. What else could you tell a boy who's still at St. John's Chikwaka or at a non-traditional playing rugby school, who are willing to take up the game? You have played at the highest level. You've won an Africa Cup.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Yeah, honestly, the first thing is what I wish I had known at the time when I was getting into the setup, like maybe the under-19 setup, is, just you have your strengths, exaggerate your strengths. There's no need to, sort of look down on yourself as an individual. You do not necessarily represent a whole institution. You're an individual. It's equal opportunities. You work hard, you'll get what comes your way. I was a bit intimidated. It was a bit daunting at the start, but there was no difference if I think about it now. So there's actually no difference. If you look as well in the current Sables setup, there's many of us now. There's me, there's Tadiwa Guashu that I can mention off the top of my head, a very good friend of mine as well. And anyone can make it. I think that's one thing I really love about rugby. It's not really about where you're from or what exposure you've had, but how much you're willing to work to get what you need.
Dave, we're going to take a brief break. We'll continue with our lovely conversation, taking us where this journey all started, your love for rugby. Rugby fans, we're going to take a brief break. Don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel, and also follow us on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Facebook, Rugby Wire ZW. We'll see you after these messages.
I think the rugby things I like about Dave are that he lives outside of himself. I think rugby is like I don't know what you call it, like a service sport or community sport. Like it's bigger than just the pitch, So that's something he probably picked up from there. He lives outside of himself, and I love that about him. Beyond that, I think, yes, the height and the size works for me. I'm not complaining, but he is really funny. He is really calm under the worst circumstances, which is probably something he also gets from rugby. But he's really been able to bring like this grounding presence into my life. I don't oscillate or fluctuate as much as I used to, because I can just look at him and he's always calm under pressure, calm under tension. I love that about him. I mentioned he's funny, and he's my person. We really enjoy talking, so yeah.
Welcome back. We're still joined by the Sables lock, David Makamba. David Makamba, can you tell us about that journey when you eventually started playing for the first team for Harare Sports Club?
So I joined the Harare Sports Club, like I said earlier, in 2012, the start of 2012, and I played for the second team for a number of years. Then I eventually moved up to first team, obviously as a substitute. There were some very seasoned locks at the time. I think Harare Sports Club had won a few league championships at the time as well as the first team. There was a lot of learning at the time when I broke into first team. Then Daniel Hondo was the coach. He was now the coach at the Rugby Sports Club. In fact, no. Sykes was still the head coach. And I broke into the first team. But for a number of games, I was coming off the bench, just learning the systems. I wasn't a line-out operator at the time, so I I then started trying to develop those skills, being a jumper, learning how the line-out system works, being a caller as well. And I became integral in that first team. Over time, coaches changed. And then Denny Ondo became head coach. And then I became captain for Harare Sports Club, 2019. So that was the journey up to Harare Sports Club first team.
During your journey for Harare Sports Club, who were your preferred local players?
Wow. There was quite a lot to choose from. From the seasoned veterans, Tafadla Bepura, I don't know if you remember Tafi. He was quite good, a very good person on and off the field. So he'd also talk to me about rugby and non-rugby issues. There was also Ashley Mabena. He was quite tough. But the preferred one at the time was Andrew Mataga, who was sort of a utility, a flanker and a lock. But I preferred him because we were peers and we brought different aspects of the game.
And what do you think you learned from these lock pairings?
Just similar to having greats in the Springbok team like Bucky's and Victor, where one is sort of an enforcer and one is sort of the brain. That's what I really learned from Ashley and Tafadzwa at the time. Just to see them operating in different spheres of being a second rower. So those were the biggest learning points from those two lads at the time.
And you're part of Harare Sports Club, some of the championship winning sides.
Yeah.
How was that feeling?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. Mostly when I was at Harare Sports Club, I was also in university. I think that's also a small part, but I enjoyed it. I really wished I had more time for rugby as well then, because uni would also press on me sometimes. But I really enjoyed that journey. I think all my fundamentals of rugby I really got from Harare Sports Club.
And how did you manage to balance uni and playing for one of the best clubs in the country?
It was when I look back at it now, it was very enjoyable, but in my head at the time it was so tough. So I would have some seniors come pick me up at the Use It to go for gym sessions at 5:30 in the morning. Bruce Chibesa, Tawanda Shaniwa, those guys. So that in a way I was fulfilling my rugby obligations, but I used to get a lot of help from the community. And then uni was uni because the brain was working nicely, so I didn't have too many challenges there.
Then at the Harare Sports Club, who were your mates?
I'm a bit of a people person, so even now I'm thinking, oh my word, I'm about to name the whole team. But mainly Sean Chigumbura, Liza, were mates for a long time. Daniel Hondo himself, very good to me. Tolerance, Sishe was now in the UK. Very good mates, great hooker, and he used to always give me pointers. What to eat, how to become a line-out operator, and at the time I thought it was a lot, but really these men were building me into what I managed to become today.
Then David, you crossed the Great Divide and moved to Old Hararians.
Yeah.
What was behind that?
I would say change. And I've got a little bit of a story. So when I actually started going to club rugby, I first went to Old Hararians. But at the time, because I was at the Use It, the commuting didn't make sense to me, so I then just quickly switched to Harare Sports Club before I'd done anything for Old Hararians except 1 or 2 trainings. But when I recently crossed over to Old Hararians, I wanted change. And I had become an integral part of the line-out, sort of at the Sables, and I knew it was more personal in that the growth I needed at the time was most likely going to come out of Old Hararians, working around Costa and those line-out operators.
And how did fans or other people take your move when you moved to OH? What was the response?
I didn't get much of the response actually. I think within myself, I even thought this was going to be sort of a hard move, but I did it. 2 weeks down the line, it felt like Nothing happened. I didn't get too much negative feedback. I did get a lot of positive feedback though from the Old Hararians boys joining, and welcome home and things like that. But for me, honestly, like I don't have too many sort of allegiances, like super allegiances, where you sort of coming from this school and then you go to that club. I'm coming from where I'm coming from, so I feel I can go anywhere I need to.
And what's the biggest thing you picked up between the two cultures, Harare Sports Club and Old Hararians, when you joined Old Hararians?
This is a tough one actually, but I would say there's a bit of oomph about Old Hararians. The standards there, are almost unforgiving in terms of expectations. What they expect from you, you must deliver. There's no reason why not. Then at Harare Sports Club, I would say it's more structured, more professional, if I may say. But all in all, you can see how the two clubs are great. When you're a part of them, you can see exactly how they're great. None of them want to lose to the other club. So just being a part of that from both sides has really been an amazing feeling. Yeah.
You made your debut for Sables during COVID under Brendan Dawson.
Yeah.
Can you take us through that day, what you went through, or that week when you eventually got your first cap?
Honestly, Brian, I couldn't believe it. I think that's when it really hit, where you're like, where I came from, my journey, what I thought I was about. It all came together then. Brendan Dawson was amazing. A lot of talks with me during that week. He prepped me mentally for that debut. And in that camp, I think I had missed the first two opening games against Zambia, and I thought, oh my word, am I ever going to play with this team? But then I got my debut in the Africa Cup first game against Burkina Faso. So I was overwhelmed with emotion. I'm happy about it to this day. One of my best achievements, and I really want to take that memory to the grave with me.
Since it was COVID, were you disappointed that maybe some of your family members or your mates couldn't come and watch you play, since it was in the bubble?
Honestly, no, because my family was watching from home. I have clips as well from when they were watching me, and I scored my first try for Zim again in that sort of first two games against Burkina Faso. So I didn't really feel it, and I was really in my head. I was really within myself. I wanted to nail the job. I wanted to get things done. So I honestly did not think who was watching from where or what is going on.
So over your journey, who have been the key mentors and coaches in your rugby career?
Ryan, that's a very hard one. A lot of people have been good to me. To this day, I can just jump to Coach Victor Pekani, yeah. He never coached me one-on-one, but was always there when I played rugby for Harare Sports Club since seconds, giving me tips and giving me this and that, inviting me to Sunday sessions. When he was training Barry Academy, just to get my my fitness up and my aggression up. But all in all, from Sykes to Danny Hondo, Kevin Quindi now at OH, the biggest difference overall now would be Pete Bernardi, the amount of trust he put in me. I had never gotten from any coach before, But yes, I've been helped by a lot of people. Even players that I was playing with at the time, Shingi Mpofu, a lot of people have been good to me. And if I could, I'll just say thank you to everyone who's ever given me a single tip on how to play the lovely game of rugby.
You became a regular player in Pete Bernard's squad.
Yeah.
Take us through, how was that, becoming a regular in the Sables setup?
It was again great feeling, Brian. Great feeling. It's never guaranteed, It's never guaranteed. you have to live with that because it's a national team, it's not a club team. But to be a part of it for that long, different tournaments against different countries, to be an integral part of the line-out, and to be a big part of just helping new guys and guys that don't really understand the system and the structure, it's been amazing. It's been great. I don't want it to go away, but yeah, it's been great.
And what was that feeling winning that first Africa Cup personally in 2024?
Yeah. Oh man, ecstatic. I think maybe let me speak for myself. I was numb for a while. It really hit me when we got back to Zimbabwe. The whole time I had a medal, look at it on the plane, with trophies, we just celebrate with the boys. But the true meaning to self really came when I was now by myself in this house, thinking, wow. And looking back, playing all the memories, all the tough sessions that we'd gone through, even during Dawson's time and during Pete's time. So I'm ecstatic to this day. It's one of the best things I have in life.
Then the last Africa Cup, which was the World Cup qualifier, how was it feeling that you messed up? You were carrying a major injury.
Yeah. It hit me quite hard. Because I got injured in the last game before leaving for Africa Cup. But I sort of knew in that Zambia game that I might not go anywhere from here because the knee was sort of blocking mid-movement. So I thought, I don't know what will come out of this. I did score a try against Zambia though, so I had something to take me to pitch. Yeah.
David, we're going to take a short break. We'll continue our nice conversation after these messages.
Sure. Cheers.
I literally just now I mentioned that, he's the calm presence in my life. So it was very difficult to just, as someone who cares about him and loves him, watch him go through it. The timing could not have been worse because on the rugby side, people were going to the qualifiers, but also on the work side. He's also a rugby coach at work. He's on his feet a lot at work. So he's a teacher. So watching him also have both of his worlds get rocked at the same time, it impacted both sides. It was really tough to watch him go through that, but at the same time, we made the most of it. I do believe in professional sabbaticals and professional hiatuses. So it's okay to take a break from something you are good at. It's okay to disappear for a while from something you are destined to be doing. I really do believe it's a good thing. You just have to use it well. And that's what we try to focus on, Of course, the healing, making sure he got the attention that he needed from the best people in the country that can do it. But beyond that, just grounding him for a change. He's always grounding me, so making sure he had routines that were comfortable and that he could settle into. And then the last thing I would say was just keeping rugby in his life, no matter what. Because like you mentioned, it's uncertain. Even, until he's back on the pitch, we don't actually know. And it's just been important for me as his partner to make sure that he sees that rugby is in his life beyond him being on the pitch, that it's always been there. There are a lot of people that inspire him that are rugby players. There are a lot of people that are his friends that he knows from the rugby world. There's a lot of things, a lot of amazing things in his life that are there because of rugby. And we can have those things even if, the knee is kneeing. So I think that's just been important, just showing him that, dude, okay, we can keep rugby. We don't have to give it up because we're going through a rough time. And yeah, grounding him, making sure the recovery recovers. It's tough also. I think he's been independent in terms of like driving the process. So maybe that's something that could improve over time for our players. Like, what do you actually do when you get injured? So he's had to be in a lot of decision-making positions in terms of what's best for himself. And I'm supporting that as well, that he's making decisions for his life in general.
Welcome back to the show. We're still joined by David Makamba, who's telling us his unique rugby journey and telling us how it has been for playing for the Sables. Dave, let's continue with our conversation. You had a major injury just before the last World Cup qualification. Did you go through any surgery to correct it?
Yes, so I got injured, like I said, in that last Zambia game we played away just before the Africa Cup tournament. The injury sort of started though on a Friday, but it wasn't painful. It was just mobility in my knee, so we thought it was something light. So after the game on Saturday, I had a brace on my knee, and then we flew back to Zimbabwe, and then in that week I then went for checks and scans, and they discovered that I had a minor tear in my meniscus, and I had a loose body in my knee, so a piece of my cartilage was floating around in the knee and just was causing all sorts of problems. So I had surgery, I think on the 28th of June, and 25 I had surgery, and it was successful, but I knew from the surgeon that the wait was going to be quite long, and it might just be an eternal wait as well to get back. So it had been it's been tough, but I did the surgery to correct it. Yes.
And how's been the rehab?
Long. Rehab has been long. Also marred with a little bit of I'm sure anyone in the world would have really wanted to be part of those qualifiers. So for a little bit of time I was in my head again, just wondering why this time, and I'm not getting any younger. I also thought maybe this would be my last shot at qualifying for a World Cup. But rehab has been good. Been through a couple of physios now, and I'm back in the Zim rugby setup with Amanda. She's primarily looking after me now, and it's been positive. I'm back doing some strength work on the knee now. Maybe in 4 weeks or so or less, I should be start running on the ground again.
And mentally, how's been that process of the rehab?
I want to say it's been grueling, personally. People that know me, I'm sure yourself would know, I really wanted to be a part of that team that went to the qualifiers and just help the country qualify. But over time you realize, you're talking to experts and psychologists and them, that you also realize, look, you still played your part to get the boys there. I hope I've answered the question.
And mentioning about you being in Uganda, how was it watching that final moment in Kampala, those Navy circuits? How was it watching the boys and finally see them getting over the line?
It was amazing, Brian. It was amazing. At some point it felt like as a country we deserved this, knowing how much sacrifice the people put in, the players, the coaches. Since when I got into the setup, I really thought this was an amazing reward for Zimbabwe rugby and for some stalwarts like Hilton Mudariki, great lad. It was amazing for everyone involved. It was amazing for me to watch. And just what I wanted to add was, and even being an injured player at the time and wanting to be there, I really want to thank my fiance. She really stood by me at the time. So I almost didn't really get the mental effect by myself, because she really was on my side and encouraging me. And we watched the final together actually, and Happy days. More opportunities for us going forward.
And what does this qualification mean to you personally?
To me personally, I'm not sure how the economics and the finance and everything will work, but to me personally, it's a great leap forward for Zimbabwe. I have nephews playing rugby. Both of them are actually at Churchill. They're doing very well, and I can see a career for them. You know what I mean? I can see doors opening for the next generation, and nothing would please me more. After all, my natural progression is probably being a coach now, so kudos to coaching at high levels. Yeah.
Then, realistically, Australia is on the horizon. What will it mean for you being selected to be on that plane to Australia, Adelaide?
Brian, it will mean everything, hey. Again, it will mean everything. I don't want to say it will sort of make up for my losses or anything like that, but all the opportunities I've ever got to represent Zimbabwe, or just to travel with the team and try and put the country on the map and try and put the country a step forward, man, it's amazing. It's honestly amazing. It's almost next to none in terms of feelings. And getting a call from your mom or your dad, like, congratulations. And to be honest, that's all they talk about now. Anyone who's consoling me about my injury or anything is like, yeah, but World Cup, good time. So if the Lord blesses me, I'd be a very happy man to be on that plane to Australia.
Currently, you're a maths teacher at St. John's College, and a rugby coach. How's been that experience? Both the teaching aspect and the coaching rugby aspect.
Mate, it's been a sort of a perpetual energy system for me, because on one hand, I'll tire my brain, teaching maths, and then on the other hand, I'll tire my body while my brain recovers, coaching or playing rugby. The boys I teach are equally motivational and inspirational to me. They have expectations. And it's so nice, to watch their eyes bright up when I also say something, and they know they can take it for fact, you know what I mean, in rugby and in maths. So it's really been perpetual energy for me. I like it. It's a good environment at St. John's. We push to be the best, so it makes me happy. And actually, sometimes the national team trains at St. John's, so I have a band of young brothers supporting and just pushing me to go the next step. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
And do you think, since you're a national team player and you're also their coach, do you think they take any word from you more, deep down?
It's hard to speak for those boys, eh? But it's hard to speak for them, but from where I stand, yes, and it's almost two-way, because boys will tell you exactly what they think. If they think I'm looking fat at the time, then that's what they'll tell me. And if it clicks a bell in my head, then I'll go and work hard at it. So I do think they do take it as fact. I actually had my first session today with my new team, the under-16 team, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Mutual respect. It really goes a long way in this game of ours.
And you recently set the cows.
Oh yes, Brian. Oh yes.
You recently got married. How's been that new chapter?
Cheers to that. Cheers to that. 100%.
How's been that new chapter in your life?
It's been good, Brian. It's been good. I think I did mention earlier that the toughest thing I've had to experience recently was losing the opportunity to go to those World Cup qualifiers. She was by my side the whole time, through hospital, through the surgeries, through the crutches, through physio. To this day, I think she actually has the program. Man, it's been good. It's been good. I thank God for that. I found true love, so I'm a happy man.
Looking back at your rugby career, which moment would you say was the most defining moment?
The most defining moment. I would say my national team debut, because it put reality into perspective for me. It put things that I could actually achieve into perspective for me, and from then you just want more from there. So I think that was my moment, I'd say.
And since you're still part of this golden generation of Sable, what legacy would you want to leave behind?
And just a legacy of brotherhood, Brian. A legacy of brotherhood. A legacy of just looking out for each other as boys on and off the field. I mean, as boys and girls also. There's some lovely ladies that play rugby too. Our sport has so many transferable skills into the real world, and it would do us so much good if we could take that into the real world and use what we learn from rugby, which is camaraderie, integrity, teamwork, all those rugby values, and put them into life. So I'd like to be maybe a torch bearer for that, or just someone known to be a senior who's maybe allowed juniors to thrive in the system, juniors to also grow, juniors to have good competition, and good advice in the game.
And what advice would you give to any boy who might be in the most remote areas in Zimbabwe or in urban areas who like to pick up the game of rugby?
Just start where you are. Just start where you are. It will all come together into one big beautiful thing. So if you have to pass a Coca-Cola bottle, if you have to be by yourself and throw a ball to a wall and it bounces back to you, if you have to do some push-ups, just do something, it will all get into that bank, and then you can always withdraw it whenever you make whatever stage you want to make. But rugby is a beautiful sport. Doors are open, opportunities are open, everywhere and anywhere you can make it.
And in the coming years, what would you envision Zim rugby as a whole?
Powerhouse, man. We really deserve to be a powerhouse. I think the big story is we always have quality exports, in terms of rugby players. And now that we're a World Cup nation, we need to try and keep the flag flying high, but we need to make sure it gets down to grassroots. It equals player development and careers, even if they're not flashy careers to start, but we need careers in rugby, and I think Zim will do that. I also see Zim having a team in the Currie Cup, having a team in the URC, even if it's like a mini provincial team or something like that. But I think it's our turn to just get recognized on that global stage.
And if you were to change anything within Zim rugby, what would it be and why?
That's a good one. If I could change anything, does that include my injury and then I go to the qualifiers? And then if I could change anything in Zim rugby now, I would. What can I say? Maybe make it competitive and allow access to real developmental tournaments. For instance, when we played as Goshawks, when we played in the Currie Cup, second division, that was amazing, because then there's exposure, and then players can also make careers out of it. Players can get exported. But I really want this country to grow the game even into a couple of franchises that can do a lot of work on the global stage for us.
Ian, you mentioned about the Currie Cup. What was the experience you picked personally when you played in that Currie Cup season?
It was a beautiful experience, actually. We were based in Cape Town for months, I think from about April to July or something. But I personally learned a lot. Exposure to systems, training in the Western Province, or the Stormers facilities, playing against countries like Georgia. We also played the Simbas, Kenya, in that same tournament. It really gave me that professional feel, standards and expectations of the game at that level. So it is very good, very competitive. For me, it was also very good for the body. I remember getting buttered and bruised a few times. I'm certainly not towering over too many people there, am I? So it was nice. It was nice, and it's good exposure for us being a smaller nation and not playing too many games in a season.
David, thanks for having us at your beautiful home. And we had a beautiful conversation. And you really took us through your whole rugby journey and your personal life. And we wish you all the best with your recovery, with your injury.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you on the park later in the year. Rugby fans, this has been the Rugby Wire. We're with the Sables lock, David Makamba, a player who has a unique journey, who came from a non-traditional playing rugby school, but has made it at the highest level and winning an Africa Cup. This has been the Rugby Wire. I'm Brian Matamba.
God is good. That's the last thing I'm going to say. God is amazing. We're here. It's been maybe like 9 months since the injury happened. We're here. He was smiling. I hope you were smiling when you interviewed him. So all credit goes to God in terms of the actual progress we're making. It's a lot of emotion, and you also a lot of passion and intensity. So what you find is that if the rugby is not there, you're actually just dealing with a passionate, intense person. They need to direct it somewhere. So it's beautiful to watch people have, like, to watch your lover or your partner have this great outlet to let their, like, I don't know, they're so into it. He is so into it. Even like sometimes after the game, then we are also hanging out talking about the game. It's just a lot of rugby. So yeah, you deal with a lot of emotion, you deal with a lot of passion and intensity. And lastly, in terms of like physical recovery, like, they're gonna do it again, boss. If there's another wife or girlfriend listening to me, they're going back. Nyangwaka, it was say, they're going right back. So yeah, you just have to help them in the interim. You're here for the transition. You know, you're here from this, today is the thumb, next week it will be the ankle, and then it will be the shoulder. You're just here for the in-between, otherwise they're going back. Oh, it's raining. That's beautiful. That means there's blessings on this interview. Okay, thank you so much.